we are actually live on Instagram as well as on YouTube. So the YouTube stream I'm going to end, but I will continue on my Instagram because it is easier to bring on my guest for today, which is going to be Geshelli Labs, who are at Capital Audiofest right now. And I want to bring them on so they can talk about their products and the rooms they have set up this year. And this should be a very, very interesting type of stream because of technical difficulties and the echoing and the audio problem that we actually had at, actually, let me see if I am live under the right account here or what. My accounts are all messed up. Vel is here. Let me see. Yes, this is correct. I need to just get my stream opened. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to add a guest, but they have to be watching. So I can't send, let me see, tune in to, see, this is, the technical difficulties are when I have a stream that's open for YouTube, it's easy to kind of watch and join in the studio, but for, through the process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Geshelli Labs on from Capital Audiofest so they can talk about their products and the rooms. Here we go. That's awesome. It is nice to see you guys. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this and working through all the technology that we have available.
That's correct. On top of this, that we did on the laptop, and it was just like the Wi-Fi chokes the whole time. It's like awful. So we're trying to do the best we can.
Yes, this was a very impromptu kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is I've still got my YouTube live is running. The profile, your web page is up there, new products, people can still see what's going on. So I'm going to end that, and I'm going to continue focusing on this channel, so we'll move to an environment that actually matches a lot of what you guys have set up there at Capital Audiofest. So to my YouTube friends, bye, I'm sorry about this. And to my Instagram friends and followers, let's move into another space. It's more similar to your own. I see the LEDs set up here. I've got some of the same thing going on, but this room is really the show winner. I set up this one basically to look like your room there at the show. So that's really, really awesome. So how has the show been? What's the experience been like?
So I'd say the show's been really busy. So for us, you know, it's like, you know, we come in here, we set up, you know, that takes 12, 14 hours, and then we go from there to doing the show Friday. And it's like you wake up, you start playing music, people just come in all day long. You're demoing the same 5 songs. You know, sometimes they'll request, but you know how it is. You've been
Yes.
and then from there, it's like the next thing you know, you look down at your watch, it's 6 o'clock, and then like 50 more people want to come in after 6 o'clock. So like for the show for us, it's like it starts at, you know, 7, 8 when you wake up, and it ends at like midnight, and it's like rinse and repeat till Sunday. But yeah, you know, we know you know that.
Yes. Well, I actually want to call a lot of attention to that kind of thing, because a lot of show guests and visitors don't actually realize how much time it takes for you guys. You have to pack up, you have to plan the travel, you have to travel to an event, you have to unpack, you have to set everything up. It's a lot of work just getting everything to the show, and then it's continual work, as you said. As soon as you start, it's nonstop work.
Dude, it's not. Like the funny thing is like we're starting this, like actually we prepped for the show like 3 weeks ago. So like this show starts for us like 3 weeks ago, and then, you know, we're on the road last Saturday just to start, you know, we actually stopped and saw some family, but still, you know, we're on the road, you know, you're in this big giant van carrying all this equipment all over the place, and And it's like, you're exactly right. And then the prep is ridiculous, like, once you get here.
And then once the show each day ends.
Try not to bounce the camera. But
so once the show ends, you have I'm showing who's in the room.
Go ahead.
What happens is after the show, everybody wants to come in. So did you pan over before?
No, not yet, not yet.
So what we have today is, guys, so we have Chris?
Yes.
No, I'm trying to
the artist, yes. The designer artist, yes. All the cabinetry and headphone stuff, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and he, Grumpy Goose headphone stand. Then this guy.
Some random guy.
The absolute stardom. One of my all-time favorites in the audio business because the audience really loves the content, and I always preach the channel. So I'm so glad that you are there in person.
I'm here to annoy and annoy.
Okay, we also have over here Ryan from Mod House. I don't know if you can.
Hi, how's it going?
Are you familiar with the Mod House headphones?
Yes, I've seen some of the content as well. I try to get as many people on the radar as possible because I like to advocate for everything audio, even if I might not understand all of it or if I'm not preferring all of it. I still like to broadcast everything. That's awesome. Glad that the room is full and busy.
Yeah, I'm just visiting. I didn't have the time or energy to set up a room. You guys are way more dedicated. You've got so much more stuff, so much better, so much more professional of a setup than I've ever had. So I appreciate knowing how bad my setup is and how much work that is. I can only imagine. Last week.
Oh, it's crazy.
These are a great setup, great show, great company, great people.
Oh, thank you, brother. Yeah, and it's funny. It's like so. Oh, go ahead, bud. Go ahead.
Yeah, all those weeks of planning and setup, and you guys have been to many shows before, present the technology, so it's that kind of knowledge and experience and going into these shows allows for a better presentation, right? Like you've got kudos from others in the industry there, that says something.
Yeah, man, it's like, so we thank our daughter. She does a lot of the planning of like, the LEDs and all the themes. Like this year we actually did 3 rooms and we have nighttime in Florida, sunrise or sunset in Florida, and then daytime. So that's like the theme.
Okay.
But in doing that, she planned. She used to get all these LED things. Everything all kind of all set up and yeah, dude, it's no joke. Like a ton. Like I envy, Ryan where he doesn't have to do this, all day. And I'm just an engineer, so for me it's like, I have to play salesperson all weekend, which is also a weird thing for me. But Sherry's very good at it. I'm like, I stumble and I'm like, I tell everybody in the room, like, understand that I'm like scared to death talking in front of all you, just letting you know. But
we're all in this to support each other. So whatever it takes, whatever practice there are to raise the volume, to raise the signal. And I mean, that's why I figured I would try to do something different here in the industry space. Because like you said, we'll go back to the music. Hearing the same 10, 15 songs all weekend long, you kind of want to break the normal. And that's one of the things that I've been trying to do on the channel is break the normal to present something that's different, but still works for what you guys are trying to accomplish.
Right.
So I saw new speakers there in one of the rooms. I'm not sure which theme room it was, but the open baffle speakers. Do you guys want to talk about what's in that room and how that presented?
Oh, so he's talking about Neil's room share?
No, it's not. So,
no, he's talking about, I'm sorry.
Okay, so this goes along with what you were talking about. Out of nowhere, one of the gentlemen who has a brand new set of speakers came into our room yesterday and said, hey, after the show, do you mind? I want to see if your amp and DAC can drive these. We're like, yeah, okay. So everybody heads up to dinner. We wait. He comes in, rolling in about 6:15, literally rolling in these speakers that weigh like 100 pounds each.
Oh, God, yeah.
Nice girl.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, all these people start coming in. They were texting people, hey, come to Geshelli's room. We're going to have a listening session. Gino and I are like, okay. we'll roll with it. We'll
Yeah.
go with it. It was great. It was so much
It was fun. Yeah.
And it was impromptu. They ended up staying a couple hours. They had people over. It was a big party. We had no idea it was going down.
Yeah.
So that we don't really have a lot of experience as speakers, but they were great.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that there's a lot of collaboration happening. So the system, they were happy with the power handling, the sound, the demos went well. Everybody everybody enjoyed themselves there.
Yeah. Yeah, man, those things were awesome too. They were like, dude, they were like solid granite. Like, like the housing was like, dude, they were so heavy. I had to help him pick them up. I felt bad. He had his wife like pushing him on a cart. I'm like, hold on, man, let me help you, please. These things were heavy. But they sounded really good. The Zuffa was able to drive it. I was like nervous. Just they were just gigantic speakers, and I was like, oh man, it might take a lot. But he said they were really sensitive, and he said they're really sensitive. So like from my side, and like the electronic side, all I'm thinking is just like syncing enough or sourcing enough current, like wacky stuff. Everybody else is just listening to it. I'm just staring at the amp, like please don't short or go into some weird mode. But no, it turned out to be a lot of fun, and they sounded great. It was able to push them. Which like at the very end, I'm like over there kissing the top of the amp, thinking,
thank you, giving it a hug. You're like, this is our moment, and you shined.
Yeah.
So this is
from my
the
perspective.
What is it? The Zuffa is, and what is that unit exactly? Let's let the audience that's here know exactly what's in that unit. Yeah,
so the Zuffa is a Class AB. It's a Class AB power amp. It's actually an integrated amp. It's 100 watts per channel. So at the last show, at the I think last time we saw you was at Expona. Was that true? I think it was Expona when we saw you last time.
Yes, last year I was fortunate to go. Yep.
Right. So we had at Expona we had the prototype version, which was like 65 watts, and we had it hooked up to the MoFi SourcePoint 10s, which I love the speakers. And this one was the production version, which actually we bumped up to 100 watts per channel, put a bigger toroid, did a bunch of kind of tweaking. And it's funny, it's like I can never do enough tweaking on that amp, and Sherry's like, we have to release it. I'm like, but please, just give me like another month.
It was getting to the point where I said to Gino, we cannot go to a show and say, look what we have that you can't. We cannot do another show like
Dude,
that.
I can never stop. It's like, think of like anything you've ever built in your life, and you're like never think it's finished.
That's an artist. That's a true artist, passionate artist's journey. That you just never you know that there's a little bit more, or like a little bit more, and I can relate to
always. That. So yeah, but it works. It's been working so far. It's still making noise, which is great.
That's good.
And
I want to specify for our audience, it makes good clean signal, not noise.
Yeah, I hope so. No, but yeah, we've been pushing it really hard. And I'm always monitoring the heat. My big thing is like, is it getting hot? Is it getting hot? But at the end of the day, it's running great. We'll have the specs out on the site next week. And so the way we're gonna do the way we'll do the ordering for it will be we're probably gonna have like a form. Oh yeah, sweet, great pictures.
That's from Expona last year.
Yeah, so that one there is the proto. So imagine that, but we have LED. We have an optional LED bar that goes across where the VUs are. Are they still? Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I will. Sorry, sure. But yeah, there you go. That's the old DAC. So we'll kind of like I'll walk to the other room where you have that up.
Yep.
And
That's cool. I just remembered that I had the photos from last year, so I thought maybe I would just kind of add in a little bit of context there from the show that we were at last year. Yep. It's fantastic, and it looks like it's very beautiful. I love that you have the wood finish options and the chassis differences and the selection for people to kind of work through. It's really, really nice. I like that option for people.
All right, so I'm going to do just as a terrible job as I did on that laptop, but
that's okay. It's plugged in and working. You don't need to worry about that.
So you can kind of see from back here. So this one has the LED bar.
Yep.
So that's optional, and we kind of changed up a couple of things. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I
all
didn't sit
good.
down. But Peter, Tony.
You want me to hold it?
Yes, if you want to hold it. But yeah. So it's this one has a silver face as opposed to the one that you show has
Yep.
the gold face. And we use silver knobs. So we kind of changed it up a little bit. All this is going to be optional. So even like these color LEDs, you can choose. You can kind of see right now they're red rings. So
Yes.
yeah. So on that one has the ultra bright white rings.
Yep. So it's a little more
so that's
subtle color on the light, on the lamps and that kind of thing. Yep.
Correct. Correct. So, and we're going to allow the people to kind of design it.
Okay.
So, like as whenever you buy it, it has the base price. It's going to start at $2,000, and it will, you get to design the wood, you get to design what you want to do, and we're just going to adjust the price based on that. So, if you want the basic one, you get the basic one. But the good news is we're not going to change. So we won't change the guts or anything. It's going to be the same electronics. It'll just be it'll be superficial stuff. So if you want it carved by Chris O'Neill, then we'll price it accordingly. And that's how we're going to kind of do it. But we're going to make sure everybody gets the same amp. So, it's not like because one guy had $1 zillion to spend, he gets the better amp. It's just, like I said, all going to be superficial, things. And like I said, you'll be able to fill it out, go on the website, and then you're just going to talk one-to-one with us and design it with us. And then we ship it to you, and hopefully you're happy.
Okay. So I'm not going to ask when they're going to be available because I've watched the other streams and I'm aware that you guys are going to do it in a slow kind of order basis and get yourself rolling a little bit more. You don't want to put it on the web page and all of a sudden you have to fill 50 orders and they're all delayed and people are not, they're not happy with the waiting period. So I think that's very smart. I think I mentioned it in my live stream the other day when I heard about it, was rebroadcasting another video. So that's cool. So folks that are interested, be patient. Put your interest out there, and then they will be available at a timely. That's good. So you also have the Daisy. What is going on with this item, Daisy?
So let me tell you real quick. So all these wacky names are all like either family, So the Zuffa is actually named after my mentor in a engineering world. I've known him for a long time. So me and a guy's name is Mike Zafuto. Me and him, we did this design together. And then the Daisy is our dog, and she's really bad. That's all I say all day. She's a really bad dog. No, we love her to death. Just like we have to walk her at night when nobody's around because she just wants to like bite everybody. But
it's like she's a little bit of a spitfire with some attitude. So that sounds really great for a dad.
Which is like a couple people said that.
Yeah, she was supposed to be a purebred Australian Shepherd that our daughter got, and she moved out, and we're like, don't get a dog. Of course she gets a dog. This dog is a fluff ball, and it's a joke that somebody, the creator, made because it's the cutest dog, and she's mean.
And she's also like 50 pounds, so it's not like a little dog. It's like a big 50-pound dog.
Yeah, it's a giant furball on leg, right?
She's a Pyrenees, which is a guard dog. She's not an Australian Shepherd. So
it looks
like,
cute, but it has some attitude. Okay.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So here's good old Daisy.
So this is the Daisy. So pretty simple interface. So some inside information is our new DACs are going to kind of look more like this.
Right.
Even the small ones, we're going to have all individual buttons. So we're definitely getting rid of that, the ones that have the single button that you have to tap, and try to work
tap through menu kind of function. Okay. Right.
Yeah, so this guy here, we're talking about that right now. We're not sure if we're going to have a menuing structure on this or not. It's just, it's going to be, we're going to try to figure out if we want to do that because it might make it a little bit more complex and a little bit more of a pain to like kind of troubleshoot or like help, so we'll see. We might just have this display status. So we're kind of up in the air if we're going to have a menuing system on this. it has the same, toss links, coaxial USBs, and then on the back has 6 outputs. So it has 2 sets of XLRs
Yep.
and 4 sets of RCAs. So you can run multiple systems. They're all simultaneously on.
I wanted to ask a question about that. I saw the video. It's got the dual XLR out, I believe, and
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You have ins and outs for your digital. So one of the things that came up was some customers or clients, or the way that audio folks like to work and tinker, you have ins and outputs for chaining them together. Now, I wanted to ask, because I'm not in that space, but for anybody else who may be curious, how in what circumstance or in what situations has that been a feature that you wanted to include on this new item?
So for the multiple outputs, a lot of times people, I can answer this. So for the multiple outputs, people will run like a bunch of systems they want to A/B, or they may have like 3. Some of these guys come in, they've got 5 systems in their rooms that they would just want to have one DAC. And for chaining, some people want to run multi-channels or just like, add more outputs for some reason because of whatever. But we've been asked a lot for the SPDIF outputs. I think like sometimes we get people who are like in studios who want to set up like weird loopbacks and stuff like that. They'll use that SPDIF output. I mean, honestly, I just make sure it works. But I've never really used it for anything. But I guess you could use it if you want for like a coax to toss link conversion or something like that. I imagine for the people that asked for it, I imagine they have their ideas. But I do know, like I said, I do know people in studios use stuff like that in weird ways, like for loopbacks and.
That's good to know in a way. If studio folks are actually looking for options with your DACs and your hardware, that speaks to a whole other kind of audiophile, in my opinion, because studio engineers really need equipment that performs at low noise floors, is durable, has the functionality that can handle and keep up with a professional atmosphere rather than just casual at-home listening. So that kind of speaks to the quality of what you're putting out there in a whole other kind of way.
Yeah, we actually sell, believe it or not, a lot of headphone amps to studios.
Okay.
They like always buy the Arish, the XLR. Like they love all the XLR stuff. Obviously, the studios love the, everything's always going to be balanced in studios for noise. But but yeah. So it's a lot of guys, like, they'll email us just weird ideas and stuff, and so we just tried, like, we knew we were making a new DAC, so we did this. I forgot to mention, so this is the 4499, the AK 4499 base design. It's a dual mono. So, you have one DAC chip for each channel, like completely dedicated, and then on top of that, it has an 8 mono op amp design that's all interchangeable. So you can use Sparkos op amps, you can use TI op amps, like whatever you want. You just pop them in.
Okay.
So that way people, whoever, people argue about the op amps all the time. Well, they can put whatever they want in it.
Right, fair enough. So like on the website, I saw that when you select or configure for even, say, the J2 DACs, you have an option for socketed DAC or op amps, and you can actually pick and choose whichever your flavor is and however you want to combine things. So it's similar, even sort of like similar technology in the new DAC with more outputs, more robust kind of structure. One thing that came to mind when you're talking about the buttons and the menu layout, my engineering mind went, okay, so that means it's going to have a simpler type of like electronic structure on the inside, where you don't have like a menu chip and you don't have all these other circuits for power. Is that part of the consideration there? Would you be designing it to keep the electronics inside more simple to control, like the signal flow? Would there be any kind of interference there?
So a lot of times, like, when doing that, like, say for the menuing or for the screen driver, for instance, you're exactly right. So you want to make that simpler, just because, you know, for manufacture, so we manufacture everything ourselves too, so we have to think about that. So number one, you know, we have to think about, you know, how the PC boards are laid out, everything, because we got to pick and place them, we have to fix them, we have to debug them when there's problems. So yes, a lot of it, I'd say a majority of the design, I'd say the most of the design consideration is going to be, you know, quality of audio. It has to, because that's what we do.
Yes.
And I'd say from there, is going to be thinking about manufacturing.
Okay.
So we have to make sure that, you know, these aren't chips that are like impossible to get on there one way or the other. Or, you know, you figure, you know, there's chips now that are really hard to solder down, and, you know, you may need specialized equipment. So we think about all of that. That's really probably the number 2 consideration.
How long it takes to do
Correct.
it.
That makes,
she's right, and it
makes a lot of sense.
I mean, down to how many seconds each board takes to get, you know, produced. Like, that's all, you know, if you can make, like, you know, 20 more in a day, that means something.
Yes.
So so I'd say that's a part of it. Yeah, and you know, digital noise and things like that from other chips is a consideration, but usually it's kind of easily handled, if I can say it like that. So when you're picking your main micro that you're going to do something, you usually know, like, okay, here's what frequency I'm going to run it, here's what's going to go on, and it usually, you know, solves itself, if I could say it like that. Where, you know, you lay it down. I mean, we still bring them in to CE testing and see if this is leaking but at the end of the day, those things, I'd say the harder part of all of it in engineering is going to be more of the analog side.
Okay.
You know, where the op amps, you're trying to make that, like, as clean as possible. It's like the same consideration of, like, how you're running your cables, and, you know, you're obviously not going to run them over your cell phone.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
You know, so that's I'd say in the engineering side of it, that's where a lot of that goes to. The digital side with screens and stuff, you usually can just keep that, like, in a sandbox, and they can all kind of play together.
Yeah.
And it's really, like, they solve this out. It's not really not a big problem.
Yeah, it's all pretty low voltage stuff, and I know for most audiences, that kind of question engineering stuff is just like, oh, what are they? How does, like, what is going on? But I mean, from my interest, because I'm familiar, I work in an electronic engineering space. They have, like, LPS organizers and QC, so everything you just mentioned is just like, oh, I'm back to work again. This is great.
You know exactly what's up.
Yeah, I empathize with it, and I want to put that into spotlight, because as an engineer and as a relatively small company, when you're coming out with something new, this is part of the planning in order to hit a price point and able to produce it well, to have no shortages. You don't want to have another incident with AKM. I mean, none of us do. Thank God they have some that are out there. That's my personal favorite. I'm not going to say that I'm extremely loyal or biased, but I was happy to know that you guys have the $44.99 in the unit, so that's big plus. I would love to put one in front of my preamp. That's for sure. So that's awesome. And thank you for the explanation. I know engineering kind of gets a little bogged down. It's not always entertaining, but it is important for people to understand how I think the technology works, the quality of work that's going into it, the consideration, the timing, why it's not on the webpage and available tomorrow. There's a lot of, if we did this wrong ahead of time, no one would be happy. So it's better to think through this stuff.
That's so true. Right. It's so true, man.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because we're doing these shows, and believe it or not, many people, like most, want to know how it's made. They want to know the technical side, because usually, going back to shows, the reps, they're not the people that make the product. So people get really excited over the idea of being able to meet the folks that are actually putting the board in the case of what they're doing versus just a sales rep selling somebody else's gear.
Yes. Yeah, and that's one reason why I wanted to bring that out, because I know that you get into what you're good at, and I wanted to bring that kind of moment out of there. So thank you for diving into it with no problems at all. So that's fantastic. So anybody who wants to know that now can come and watch that and listen to that back on repeat ad nauseum. That's perfect. That's fantastic. So with the chassis in general, are you going to have any additional option? We talked about doing, like, wood carving or additional aesthetic type of addition. So are they both chassis are going to be open to that?
Yeah. So for the chassis for these two guys back here,
Yeah, they're gonna for probably at least the next 6 months, at least I'd say it's gonna be you're gonna have your wood selections. It's just gonna be wood. We talked about aluminum, but we're not gonna be able to pull that off yet,
Right.
like doing a full aluminum. But they're gonna be basically the wood designs, typical to what we have on our other wood ones on the site. You'll be able to pick your wood that you want, and then on top of that. If you want to have a design with patterns and nothing too crazy, my dad will kill me if it's like if I come in with like a herringbone design. He'll be like, no.
Like this guy brought this design in that looks like the Sistine Chapel. Can you do these really cool gargoyles on the corner?
But yeah, we told everybody, we're gonna keep it within like reason, so my dad doesn't kill me, basically.
Yeah.
But you'll be able to pick. We have a ton of different woods, so you'll be able to pick, your Purple Hearts and your curly maples and things. Whatever we can source. It's tough sometimes to get some of the weird woods, but it'll be like that with the aluminum fronts.
Yep.
So we're gonna have the full aluminums. These are actually prototype fronts. They're actually plexiglass. Nobody realized it, but it's actually metallized plexiglass that we laser etch.
Oh, okay.
But the real ones will be an aluminum 1/8-inch aluminum plate with either silk screen or laser etch. We're not sure yet. We might laser etch it, but it depends on how dark we can get it. But yeah, the chassis will be actually very similar to this. And like you said, if you want to get it optionally carved, you can go. We'll send it up to Chris and have him kind of make it into a piece of art.
Yeah.
And Chris, being here, heard us say that, and he's like, "What?" So he has a full-time job.
Plenty of work to go around.
It will take him a bit.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing that we had mentioned earlier is they're not a selectable item yet on the website, so folks are going to have to wait for everything to kind of get more into place. And like you said, cross your T's, dot your I's, make sure that everything's going to work well, because the last thing you want to do is overpromise and underdeliver, which is never really wise business practice to anybody out there. You want to underpromise and overdeliver, so that way your customers and clients are getting more than they expected, and that's a bonus.
That's exactly why we're doing that kind of one-to-one, and it's going to help us a lot, man, because we're going to, if we do like a one-to-one with the customers and we kind of throttle it, we'll be able to kind of hone in the manufacturing side of it too. I think the DAC's not as bad. We're very used to making these DACs. The big amps are the thing. We had to buy machines to make cables. Think of the PC Mini Fit Juniors that are in your computer. Those little cables, like we have to make those. So we have crimping machines that you put wires in and everything. So those kinds of things, we had to think about all for like the last year, so we can we can make them and we don't have to outsource all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of like a big part of it. So that's why we told everybody it's like we're gonna do one-to-one, we're going to get them done, and then as we kind of hone in the manufacturer, we'll be able to make them faster and faster. That's typically how it is anytime we even make a new product or even a new board. And we're used to making boards all day, but even when you have a new board, there's always a part on the new board that's a pain in the butt. It's always like this one part. No matter what we do, no matter how great we think we are, we're always humbled by physics and soldering. And always, man, always.
I can relate to that. Without giving out too many details, when I worked at an audio manufacturer and built the amplifiers for them, I was there at a time when they were prototyping and building their new models. And the on-off switch with all of its smaller parts and complex plastics and those things were the biggest nightmare to get right, because it's like one twist of a piece of aluminum the wrong way and both pieces are now a QC nightmare. So I can relate to that. You want to be able to get your processing right in order to reduce overall cost, save your parts, make sure that everything is aligned. I totally empathize with that as well. That's really great. Yeah, fantastic.
That's it, man.
So I don't want to hold you guys up. I know you guys have had a busy day. You still have one more day to go. So thank you very much for stopping in here and letting all of the fans and audience know what's going on. Do this a little bit differently. I'll be sure to share everything I can for others out there that are looking for information. Our YouTube sort of whatever, I'll have to explain that. That's not on you guys. I still thank you for being available, speaking with the friends and fans that are here. So it's just so awesome that you're out there doing this stuff.
No, we thank you, man.
Yeah, this was great. You know I adore you, so I was so excited when you.
Oh man, we love you, man.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so
very
much for giving us the time to share.
Yes, well, thank you very much, brother.
Absolutely, you guys are like the party rooms that I feel like I can. There's none of this kind of like, well, I don't know what to expect, and I'm not nervous about it. You just walk in, and like I said, my room is basically inspired by your room. Like I've done this. This is all. That's awesome. All you guys, this is kind of this is the vibe. I feel a kindred sort of audio connection to what your style is like. The lights, the LEDs, the colors, the wood, the carving, everything is really like, it's personal. It's handheld, like I really relate to that. So thank you guys as well for giving us your time. Absolutely. And I hope you get some decent sleep. I mentioned something about it yesterday, but it's still important.
Yeah.
Yeah, sleep will be next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like we were saying earlier, it takes a long time to set up. It takes a lot of energy to kind of get through the show. You guys have to pack up, close up, travel back, get everything organized, and still run the business in the background. Yeah. So we do. If anything that I can say to the friends and viewers at any point is, really show some appreciation to those that put on the show, the reps, the manufacturers, the owners, the hotel staff, like all the people that go into making this happen. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work in the background. Oh, yeah. So my respects and thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
We'll talk soon.
Yes. Have a great night, guys. Thank you very much.
You too, buddy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.